Having just studied the former Mansell stronghold at Penrice, it is perhaps natural that the next castle we visit is Oxwich Castle, which of course succeeded Penrice as the Mansell's principal seat. The building that stands today was built in the 16th century by Sir Rice Mansell, who developed the previous medieval castle at Oxwich, where he was born, into a contemporary fortified manor house. Sir Rice Mansell and his descendants were to play an enormously important role in Gower's history, being, without any dispute, the region's most powerful, influential family. Sir Rice's reputation reached its apex in the 1530s, at which time he enjoyed the considerable favour of King Henry VIII. He had indeed led an illustrious life. He had charge of 2 naval vessels in 1509. He had served as a senior officer in Flanders in 1517, was knighted some time before 1526, and served again as a senior officer in Ireland in 1535. Sir Rice did have a considerable hand in his rise, however, for, as a result of his marriage to his third wife, Cecily, he had been able to covet royal favour, as Cecily was in fact a lady-in-waiting to the Princess Mary. Indeed, his star would rise to such an extent that in 1553 Sir Rice would march at the head of 500 men as part of Queen Mary's coronation ceremony. The coat of arms of this illustrious family can still be seen above the castle's gatehouse. Despite the undoubted prestige of its builder, Oxwich, like all castles of antiquity, was to be no stranger to controversy. Perhaps the most notorious incident to have taken place here was the death of Anne Mansell at the gate of the castle in 1557. The events surrounding the death of Anne can be traced to the dynastic rivalry between Mansells and another of Gower's significant families, the Herberts. Things came to a head in 1557 when a French merchant vessel was wrecked at Oxwich Bay. The Mansells had laid claim to the wreck and removed much of the cargo to the village of Oxwich and the castle. On hearing of this, Sir George Herbert, Vice Admiral of the Crown and a prominent citizen with influence in the area, proceeded with a party of his men to ransack the village and remove the booty to Oxwich Church. Sir Rice Mansell and Sir Edward Mansell were away while these events unfolded, so Sir George, in a combative mood, decided to await their return. When Sir Edward Mansell finally reached Oxwich Castle, the situation began to get out of hand. The stakes were high, and irascible temperaments flared, eventually causing an outbreak of violence. Anne Mansell, an aunt of Sir Edward, attempted to ease the tension before disaster struck. One of Herbert's men had thrown a stone, which unfortunately had struck Anne on the head, which resulted in her death a short time later. Sir Rice Mansell brought an action in the court of the Star Chamber against Sir George Herbert following this tragedy. The court found in Sir Rice's favour and heavily fined Sir George and confiscated the very cause of the fracas, the cargo from the French cargo ship. The Mansells continued to reside at Oxwich until the 1580s, when they decamped to their new home at Margam Abbey. This land had been granted to Sir Rice by Henry VIII following the dissolution of the monasteries. Like Penrice, Oxwich became a tenant farm, and deprived of the considerable sums of money necessary to maintain such a residence, fell gradually into a state of ruin. This decline will continue for centuries, reaching a head in the 1940s when the castle's very existence was threatened. Fortunately for Gower's heritage, a Lady Apsley stepped in and saved the castle from destruction. Today, run by Cadw, the castle houses an educational centre and has taken its rightful place as another fine attribute to Gower's history.